Clovercrest Media Group presents a CMG podcast. Keys to the City.
Keys to the city, baby. When you see us, so
It was a wild week of college football, and I'll tell you what, I think the one thing we're really learning in this COVID-affected season is don't expect things to be normal, because they're not going to be. If you're Houston, you might not even play a football game, but that's a whole other story. We'll get into all that, all the latest news across college football right now. Before we bring in the rest of our panel, let's take a look at the top 25 scores of the week.
Minute. Near side, pass is caught. George Pickens. Touchdown, Georgia.
Positivity on this play has to happen.
Picked off. Eric Stokes with the pick six. Taylor, the tight end, sets on the toss. It's fumbled. There's a flag down. It's coming back the other way. And Army has a touchdown. Warren at tailback now with the Philadelphia Eagles in the lead. Downfield, room service wide open. Dokes. Nobody home. Cash it. Touchdown, Bearcats. Stall shifted into the backfield. Najee Harris puts his hand down and scores the first Alabama touchdown of 2020. Freshman Rakestraw is on Waddle this time. Well protected again. Jones Waddles gets behind the defenders for another touchdown. Thompson trying to get creative. On second down. Vaughn. And Deuce on the loose touchdown. K-State. From 50 yards away. Good!
Still provides the same type of matchup problem.
Remember, one timeout in the back here. And you're not gonna need it. Kyle Pitts scores it. Made the call. A little bit of safety pressure as they bring Jones off the edge. Pierce picks it up. Trask downfield, and with that, here is Pitts. Run, young man, run. Touchdown, Gators. Costello throws, lofts one complete. On the rolls, Mitchell down the sideline. Touchdown, Bulldogs. Costello gonna go long to the corner of the end zone. Touchdown, Mitchell.
And Ellico had plenty of time.
Pressure again in the end zone. Caught. Touchdown, Brennan Eagles. Schooler in motion. There's the slant. Caught. Touchdown.
On the four-man front on 2nd and 10. Mon, little pitch play from the near side. Past the 20, inside the 10. Lunging for the end zone. Touchdown.
The consistency, the energy. This is a team right now.
King rolls out. Looks downfield. Caught. Touchdown. D. Wiggins at Miami is pouring it on.
And Clovercrest Media Group presents All Four Downs. I'm Joe Aguirre, along with Sean Scallon, Ovi Munez, and Big Jace Garcia. What an outstanding week of football. No one's going to get waterboarded, fortunately, on tonight's show. And maybe some people should, though.
Like yourself, right?
Yeah. Perhaps I'm the most guilty of anybody here. But what a week, man. LSU... And I think some of us saw that coming. Some of us didn't. KJ Costello, boy, what in God beats LSU 44-34 with an SEC record 623 yards, 5 touchdowns. He hits 10 different receivers. What is going on down there in Death Valley? These guys look like they're in some big trouble. So a lot of concern in Death Valley. I mean, what do you guys think of this game? Hey, Sean, I know you were with me. You thought this was going to be a cakewalk. I think LSU isn't a good team.
Yeah, I mean, definitely. Ovi and Jace hit it last week. They lost a lot of players. I just thought that the recruiting class they brought in would help out. It also didn't help out with, no Derek Stingley, best corner in America right now. But still, I mean, KJ Costello, when I watched him at Stanford, I thought, he was an average quarterback. He's all right. But, obviously coming in with Mike Leach. Mike Leach obviously runs the air raid, pass-heavy offense. So he came in. He surprised me. He threw all over this LSU defense. And I thought it would be a close game, but I did not expect them to come out and beat LSU. So, credit to Ovi and Jace for picking it. But and I think Mississippi State's going to make some noise in the SEC this year. They have the offense for it, obviously. So it'll be interesting to see going forward.
I called it. I was very impressed, though. I did not like KJ Costello all last year. I know people thought he was going to be one of the top QBs in the NFL draft, which is wild. But I see what people saw last year now. Last year he was at Stanford. Stanford not known for their QBs since Andrew Luck. Not really known for throwing the ball down the field. They like to run the ball a lot more. Now in this air raid with Mike Leach, letting KJ Costello light it up, I am loving it. I'm liking it. But do not pull the I'm not going to pull the
wool over your eyes?
Over your eyes here, because they are not a good team. Mississippi State is not a good team. Don't get me wrong. LSU, not a good team. They're good for they're not a good team in terms of SEC. Mississippi State, they might pull off an upset from one of the top teams. That might be cool. They might do that. They have the ability to do that. But they're not going to be consistent. They are not going to consistently go in there and challenge the Georgias, the Alabamas, the Auburns. There's going to be a couple games where they're going to get beat into the dirt. But I like what I saw. I'm interested to see this team moving forward, and I'm interested to see how LSU rebounds and continues to rebuild after such a great season last year.
LSU played good enough. You could tell that they have a lot of players playing for the first time as starters, but got to give credit to Mississippi State, to Mike Leach, the way he pretty much changed everything of what Mississippi State football was and what it is now. He's bringing something different to the table. I think they'll be successful. I am looking forward for Mississippi State to play Alabama. It's going to happen this year, and let's see if that offense could put up numbers like they did against Alabama. I, for one, say that it's a week 1 fluke. It's the first game. Everyone's get the jitters out. It just happened that he threw over 600 yards. I don't think he's going to do it again. It's not going to happen again. He's not going to throw over 600. But, I do expect that the Mississippi State will continue throwing the ball just like how Mike Leach did with Washington State in the Pac-12.
Wait, but didn't KJ Costello also have jitters? I mean, he didn't seem to have any problem. I don't know if I buy the whole fluke idea at all.
Week 1. It's like if I introduce you to playing dominoes with me and I'm the best and you got that beginner's luck. That's what happened in week 1. I'll be convinced this weekend if Mississippi State could perform the way they did this past weekend.
I don't believe in luck. LSU, by the way, becomes the first defending national champion to lose their opening game since Michigan, obviously, in 1998 when they lost at Notre Dame. It's always Michigan. Miles Brennan played well in his debut as a starter. He was 27 out of 46, 345 yards and 3 touchdowns. He did throw a couple of picks, though. And LSU, as you mentioned, did not play without their All-American Derek Stingley, who was hospitalized Friday for feeling ill. And when I saw that, I did text you, OV, and I did say, uh-oh. And I did suddenly feel like there might be a waterboarding in my future. And as things turned out...
You'll get yours.
Meanwhile, we're already having the ridiculous conversation of the one-loss team after Oklahoma did what it does every year. Lost the game early, this time to Kansas State 38-35. Wildcats had a depleted roster due to COVID-19. Skylar Thompson, 18 for 25, 334 passing yards, 4 total touchdowns, 3 on the ground. Oklahoma's quarterback Spencer Rattler, who was a Heisman hopeful, threw 3 interceptions. He was 30 for 41, 387 yards, and 4 touchdowns, but it just wasn't enough. I mean, Oklahoma, give me a break. I feel like this happens. This happens every year. Win your games.
Yeah, it happened last year to Kansas State. This is the second year in a row now that they've beaten them. Both times, Skylar Thompson has played tremendous. He's a dual threat quarterback that really brings a lot to Kansas State. After losing to Arkansas State week 1 or last week, I thought there was no chance that they would come out and do this to Oklahoma. But it's college football. It's Big 12 college football. You never know what's going to happen. You got to bring it every week. And Spencer Rattler in Oklahoma, he had the 3 picks. He's got to take care of the ball. They only lost by 3 points. So if he takes care of the ball the whole game, I'm sure that they have a chance to win this. But it was a rough second half for him, and obviously it's disappointing for Oklahoma. I think that goes their playoff chances go with that loss right there.
I came in here last week and I said Texas is going to win the Big 12. They're going to win the Big 12, and it's because of stuff like this. Oklahoma, they have held their hat the past couple years on having these veteran quarterbacks, and Lincoln Riley's able to be the quarterback whisperer and let the quarterbacks do what they have, showcase all their abilities, because they've played other places. Kyler Murray was at Texas Tech. Jalen Hurts was at Alabama. They have experience playing college football. Spencer Rattler was a redshirt freshman last year, barely played at all because Jalen Hurts was in. You can't expect him to come in and put up the same numbers as these veterans. And that's going to be the downfall of Oklahoma this year because it is a rebuild. It's a rebuild and restructure and get this guy right and set up for the future. Oklahoma is not the team to beat in the Big 12 this year.
You hit all the points correctly, Jace. And Joe, you're talking about Texas and maybe, I'm sorry, Jace, you talked about Texas, that this is their chance, this is their year. But I got a feeling that all the Big 12, they're going to beat each other up badly. And the Big 12 is going to miss the college football playoffs.
I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah, deservedly so. Meanwhile, Texas and Texas Tech go to OT. Call this one a shootout. Texas led at the half 31-21. Texas Tech scored a touchdown at the end of the third, giving them their first lead of the game at 42-38. But the shootout did go to OT with either team having an answer to stop the offense. Islanders passed to Joshua Moore and OT, put them up 63-56. The Red Raiders would have a chance to tie the game, but Alan Bowman threw a wild pass that resulted in a pick by Caden Stearns for the Longhorns victory. Exciting game, kind of played out like you thought it would. Defense obviously completely non-existent in this one.
Yeah, another classic Big 12 matchup. Obviously, with the 119 points scored, there's no defense at all in this game. But I was watching most of the second half. It was an entertaining game to watch. Just scores all over the place. Texas, obviously, Sam Ehlinger with the 5 touchdowns. They also got it going on the ground. Ran for over 200 yards, so they really dominated on offensive side of the ball. But it was troublesome to see Texas defense giving up 56 points to an average offense in Texas Tech. But that's what you're going to expect in the Big 12 is that you're going to have these high scoring games. The defenses obviously aren't as great as they are in better conferences such as the SEC and Big 10. But I think I agree with Jace. I think Texas would probably have to be the favorite to go and win the Big 12 now. But I also agree with Ovi that I think that they're just going to beat up on each other a whole lot. I could see the top Big 12 ending the season with maybe 2 or 3 losses, just because I think that they will beat up on each other in the interconference games.
The Big 12, like all this season, they've showed adversity. Obviously, Oklahoma wasn't able to get over their adversity against Kansas State. Texas was able to tough it out. And Texas Tech, don't get Texas Tech confused. Texas Tech is a really good team. That Bowman, not really good. They're a good team. Bowman is a solid quarterback. He's a solid Texas Tech quarterback. He can sling the football. But I do like this is a notice they got punched in the mouth. They were able to come back and win in overtime. You look at a team like Oklahoma, gets punched in the mouth and falls to Kansas State. And this was no one's really talking about, this is a rivalry game. This is their rivalry week opponent. Texas Tech and Texas play every year in rivalry week. They're playing in their Big 12 opener. So there is a lot of meaning behind this game. So I expected Texas Tech to come and play because I obviously didn't pick them against spread, but they came to play, and this was a good game. But I still expect Texas to roll over the rest of the Big 12.
That's a big expectation. We shall see. Meanwhile, I know a game that means a whole lot to OV, Cincinnati and Army. Army started the game with a touchdown fumble with 57 seconds into the game to make it 7-0. Bearcats' Desmond Riddler threw 2 touchdown passes, and running back Jerome Ford scored a rushing touchdown in the win. Cincinnati's head coach Luke Fickell said it was tough sledding in here. They have big, physical, strong guys. I don't know that we ever felt comfortable that we could establish the running game. They came in averaging 389 yards per game, and Cincinnati stuffed the triple option in its tracks. OV, I could imagine this could have been nothing but heartbreak for you watching this.
Yeah, I was praying that I didn't have to do the waterboarding thing. And at the end, I mean, they let the guy open to score a touchdown. I was like, here we go. But give props to Army. They played Army football, and they didn't change their ways. They tried to do anything different, except they threw a little bit more passes, but at the same time, they still played old school football. And I got to give props, but Cincinnati was better. I wish they could have blown out Army if they would have thrown the ball in the air more. But they kept on running the ball as well. And my hats off to Cincinnati. We all got a tie in this. It was a 14-point spread. And at the end of the game, it was a 14-point game. So it is what it is.
Yeah. I think Cincinnati could be we talked a lot about a Sun Belt team getting in undefeated into the college football playoff. If Cincinnati can win out their conference, they might be that non-Power 5 team find themselves in there. They're solid, and this game did not go as I expected. I expected Army to just run the football, and then Cincinnati to answer back with quick passes, getting down the field and scoring real quick. That's not happening. They were almost even in time of possession. I like. Which I think says a lot about Cincinnati. They're able to come in and dominate Army at pretty much their own game. So I think Cincinnati's really good, and they might find themselves in the college football playoff maybe.
I don't think so, man. And I'm going to tell you why. There's a lot of issues in that offense. Desmond Ritter kept missing his target constantly. Okay, the receivers were wide open, and he still couldn't get them the ball. He was overthrowing it and everything else. Yeah, maybe down the line he'll improve, but I don't feel comfortable that this team could advance. They might be good with the AAC, but as far as trying to get into the playoffs, I don't think so.
Okay.
Wait, so why doesn't Riddler get the benefit of the early season jitters in his second? I don't like. What is that? How do you even apply this? What are you even saying? Why doesn't he get a pass?
He does not get a pass. I don't care. Damn. Case closed. No, I mean, yo, yes, it's only week 1, but they, I got no answer for you, man. It's what it is, was what it is. They beat my Army, and I'm butthurt about it.
Yeah, that's what I wanted you to say. Sean, that's nonsense. What's really going on here?
I mean, yeah,
I hate you, Joe. I hate you.
That's funny. I think Jay said it right. Cincinnati came in. They beat Army at their own game. Army had the first drive of the game. They came down, scored a touchdown, and then Cincinnati responded right after that, only giving up 3 points the rest of the game. And hopefully, the running attack was there, but like they said, see Ritter, get a little better with the accuracy. 18 to 33 is not really what you're looking for. So I think that Cincinnati is by far the best team in the American. I just don't know how they'll fare up against other teams, other Power 5 teams. But it was a good performance, and they shut down Army at what they do best.
Hey, carry out. This is Cincinnati's second game, by the way. So
yeah.
No excuse for Ritter to do what he did.
Who was their first game against? Austin
P.
P. Yeah. That's not a game.
You called it PP, right?
Yeah. He's got a top 25 matchup against a pretty good Army team. At least that's what you say.
Hey, I called it how it is. I mean, somebody did say that Army was going to get blown out like 50-0 or something like that. But, hey, it is what it is. But you know what's happening is that this week is going to be a good game because this guy's in it. Bo Nix led his Auburn team to victory. I mean, SEC's got to be the best football league ever, man. They should might as well change the trophy to SEC championship. That's it. That it is what it is.
Great game, 8-7 at the half.
Yeah, it's on.
Kentucky missed the 2-point conversion to tie the game in the third. Bo Nix, good football player. 2 touchdowns in the fourth quarter. Kudos to Kentucky for hanging in there as long as they did. But in the end, Bo Nix and the Auburn Tigers, that's a pretty solid football team. And I think this team's gonna be there in the end.
I'll be surprised.
Yeah, they got a game against Georgia this weekend. I mean, Kentucky had they're known for their best defense, and Auburn hanged in tough, and I think that they're gonna do some damage down the road. Hopefully not this week against my Georgia, but they're directing Nix. I think he's eligible for the NFL, so he has a lot to prove this year in leading his Auburn Tigers.
He's not eligible. He'll be eligible next year.
Oh,
but
okay.
The thing with Auburn is they're so tough to read because the first half of that game it was close. Like they did not the score does not indicate how close that game actually was. Like it's these garbage plays and I mentioned it. Bo Nix. I mentioned it last week. Bo Nix seems to be this moment maker. He seems to find himself in the right spot to get to find the play, which is always really good. But leading up to that, it's not too good. So I don't know. It's just so I last year I went to bat a lot for Auburn, but it's so hard to when they play so wishy-washy sometimes.
Yeah, but do you expect that at SEC, man? It's very hard to play in the conference. I can understand if they're playing a non-conference game, but this is hard. This is pretty much the most hardest schedule that any SEC team is facing because they're only playing against each other. You got to think about that, man. Nothing's ever easy. You never know what's going to happen each week in the SEC. There's no dominance unless we're talking about Alabama.
Or last year, LSU.
Fair enough.
It's so interesting to see when you don't throw these lions like the occasional lamb, and it's literally just again beating each other's brains in. I mean, it's definitely fun. Got to say that. All right. Meanwhile, let's take a look over at third down. Some college football news to share with you. Ohio State's All-American candidates, cornerback Shaun Wade and offensive lineman Wyatt Davis are returning after opting out. Just some really great news. Along those same lines, some bad news if you're a fan of Penn State. Unfortunately for you, B-Shock Parsons will not be opting back in for 2020. FSU head coach Mike Norvell returns to practice after he was sidelined due to COVID-19. And Georgia quarterback JT Daniels cleared and expected to play on Saturday versus Auburn. Daniels, of course, the transfer from USC. He will replace the struggling Dwayne Mathis. Stetson Bennett looks sharp and is expected to remain as the backup quarterback. So just a little bit of what's going on. Also, University of Houston had 5 scheduled opponents, resulting in 5 postponements. It's almost mind-boggling. Their next scheduled game is October 8th at Tulane. All I could say is, Tulane, wash your damn hands. Geez. All they want to do with Houston is play some football. I mean, I'd like to know mathematically what are the odds that all of their opponents so far would be the teams each week that have. I mean, seriously, you couldn't, if you had to bet every week on one game, you wouldn't bet on the same team every week.
No,
it's stunning. I mean, it's not supposed to happen that way. But my goodness, got to say this though. Look, all in all, kudos to everybody in college football. They've done a really, really good job of it, and I think they've proven that you could do this right.
Yeah, a big kudos to Shaun Wade. He could have been a first round draft pick last year. Decided to come back, and then this whole COVID stuff happens, and now he decides, no, I'm not. He says he's going to sit out, then he decides, no, I'm no longer. I want to play. I came back. I didn't go to the draft because I wanted to play, so he's going to play. Big shout out to him.
Yeah, for sure. I think that's huge for Ohio State to get him and Wyatt back. Of course, it's going to be huge for them in the Big Ten. I think that they'll run away with it, but still, to have those guys back is huge. And then just the JT Daniels news, I think that's huge for Georgia. Obviously, their offense struggled, especially in the first half against Arkansas. They definitely need to step it up on the offense side of the ball. I think bringing in JT Daniels will be huge because we know that Georgia's defense is dominant. If they could just put some points on the board, we'll see how JT Daniels does. But I think that's huge for their offense and definitely makes them a big threat in the SEC.
That Georgia game in the first half reminded me of the New York Giants in the NFL. I mean, these guys were terrible. And thank God that Smart was able to be smart and change out the quarterback, and that offense started clicking. So we haven't seen anything of JT Daniels in Georgia. Hopefully, it'll be much improved. And hopefully, Georgia could dominate offensively as they have done defensively. But, Joe, we're moving on here to the top 25, right? To where our members ranking. Thanks to Sean for not participating. No problem. He'll be doing a lot of push-ups later. Don't worry. But this is what we're looking at right here. Myself, Jason, Joe, we all three of us agree that Clemson's number 1. I think Sean would agree too if he would have done his picks, but it's all right.
Yes. I would have Clemson at number 1 as well.
But Jace, I just got a question. Why would you pick Notre Dame over Alabama in this rankings?
Because Alabama didn't look great either last week. They struggled. And Notre Dame, they've just looked really good, and I think they're a contender. Also, I think the SEC is going to cannibalize itself. Teams are going to have to play good teams, Also, I do want to point out how I was given so much crap last week for putting the Big Ten in mine, and then all of a sudden this week you guys put it in yours. That's a little ridiculous, but okay.
Well, I mean, we did state that this week the AP and the coaches poll were going to include the Big Ten and the Pac-12 in the top 25, even regardless when they were going to start.
You sort of forced our hand. What were we supposed to do? We're playing chess and you're playing checkers. Like, what are we gonna do? We're gonna knock some bishops off and get down to your level.
If anyone's playing chess, it's me. Look at my win percentage.
Yeah, okay. But hey,
I don't understand. Wait, I don't understand why you punished Alabama for no reason at all, other than playing. I don't understand that. That seemed unnecessary. And you talked about them cannibalizing each other. Why don't you wait until that happens? In the meantime, I think Alabama has done nothing to give up the number 2 spot. I think that was
I'm not sold. Alabama is the best team in the SEC. That's what I'm saying. Like, and Notre Dame's played very well, and I think they have a lot of core components. I just think, on paper right now, Notre Dame's a better team. After that first week,
does anybody else agree with that?
No, I agree.
I
I
don't hate that. I had Notre Dame pretty high last week. They've looked dominant, especially running the ball, and Ian Book coming back, and their defenses look very good too. So look, I agree with Jace on this one. I think that just after Alabama's the performance against Missouri, it was a pretty sloppy game. I just didn't. I think Alabama's right there. I don't think it's a wide margin by any means, but I do agree with Jace that Notre Dame should get some respect. And I don't have any problem with them being number 2.
So are you saying?
Wait, let's just say that you had done one. Had you filled out yours, what would you have ranked them? Would you have done what Jace did and penalize Alabama from the 2 spot for no reason?
Probably.
I gave you my reason. They didn't look great.
I didn't like that reason.
Okay.
I probably would have.
Well, that's my reason. Also, I'm not a guy who's gonna kiss.
Don't sleep on Mac Jones, Dennis Carnes. Don't sleep on Mac Jones.
I'm just surprised that Dennis Carnes even said this. Bama will not be top 10 at the end of the season. I mean,
I wouldn't be surprised.
I don't know, man. You can't diss Nick Saban like that. He'll have his team ready, and they're out for revenge, man. I mean, they didn't even make the playoffs last year. So, of course, they're going to do whatever it is to get back in the game. So
Notre Dame will finish number 7 in the rankings.
So Notre Dame might be finishing outside the top 10 once Clemson get a hold of them. But, hey, this is our top 25 in all 4 downs with Clemson, Alabama on top. No change there. Notre Dame, Florida, Auburn move up, in Georgia because of their performance. I think we all agree that they moved down. But after this weekend, we could always see a big change. Texas, Miami, and Texas A&M, and number 10, North Carolina. And that moves up to College Pick'em. That's right. Ovi's Opposites Choice is credited by Dennis Carnes. Yes, indeed. We're getting hot and heavy here. We got to give credit to also Jace, who won this past week with 9 wins, 3 losses, and 1 tie. Let's see if he will be able to make it 3 in a row as we get ready for the Pick'ems. We starting with straight up Louisiana Tech 2-0 versus BYU at 2-0.
I picked Louisiana Tech week 1 against Baylor. That game sadly got postponed due to COVID. I'm really high on BYU. This is going to be another, I'll give Louisiana Tech a couple scores, but this is going to be like a 50-something 14 game. BYU all the way.
I think BYU, this is going to be like a 52-36 game. I think Tech will show up a little bit more.
Okay.
Yeah, I think Tech will just cover the points. I think they'll get beaten by 21, probably by 3 touchdowns. I think BYU will score a lot. I think they'll run up the score. So I'd take Louisiana Tech with the points, but I think BYU will win pretty easily, though.
Yeah, I apologize. This is a spread, not a straight up. BYU is at -3.5, and I'm definitely picking BYU to cover the spread. You guys agree, Joe and Jace?
Yeah.
Okay, fair enough.
Underrated defense.
Then we'll move into Oklahoma versus Iowa State. Oklahoma favored at -7. What do you got, Joe?
I think Oklahoma is gonna win this football game. I think the seven's no sweat. I think Oklahoma comes back in a big way this week.
I really want to do it, but I'm not going to do it. This is a bounce back game for Oklahoma. Spencer Rattler is starting to get things. We'll start to get things going. I really want to do it, but Oklahoma's going to get the win here.
Yeah, I don't think. I think especially after last week, Oklahoma is going to want to bounce back. And for Iowa State, they have a decent defense, but I thought Brock Purdy would look a lot better. He's looked pretty terrible through the first two games. I just don't. Even with a bad Oklahoma defense, I don't think that they'll have enough on offense to keep up with the Oklahoma offense. So I think Oklahoma would probably win by 14 to 17 points.
Yeah, I agree with you guys. It's a clean sweep. Oklahoma over Iowa State. Great prediction. And we got East Carolina versus Georgia State. Straight up. Who you got, Joe?
Wow. I didn't even know Georgia State was a college. So I'll take ECU. I'll take the Pirates, I guess. Is this in Georgia State? What are the Panthers or what is that, a lynx? I mean, what kind of animal is that?
I think it's a panther.
Yeah.
It's an animal that I don't want to be next to. I'm going to tell you that much.
That looks like Michael Jackson in the Thriller video. That doesn't even look like an actual mascot. That thing is lame. There's no way Georgia State sucks. Know anything about them?
They don't suck. They were a decent contender in the Sun Belt last year. They beat Tennessee last year. I like Georgia State to get the win here.
I agree with Jace on this one. Georgia State, they brought the Raging Cajuns, Louisiana, to overtime just a couple weeks ago. Louisiana is a pretty good team, and East Carolina just got washed by UCF. I understand UCF is probably the class of that conference, but still, I just don't think much of East Carolina. I think Georgia State would probably win by a touchdown here at home.
This is their first meeting, so it's kind of hard to determine any type of history. But if you want to do comparison, I got Georgia State on this one. Ole Miss versus Kentucky. Both teams are 0-1.
Time out. Can I change my last pick? I
you serious?
I'm sorry. Sometimes I don't bother with that. I've never even heard of Georgia State. I've never heard of them.
Okay, well, Dennis Carnes will remind you that Georgia State is a farm team for the SEC. So, because of him, you want to change, is what you're saying.
Yeah, I'm going to take Georgia State.
Oh, man. Well, you get a Munnigan. All right, fair enough. Ole Miss and Kentucky, both 0-1. Which team will get their first win, Joe?
I think Kentucky wins this game.
Oh, I'm gonna go Ole Miss here. I like their mobile quarterback, John Rice Plumlee. They played against a tough team in Florida. Kentucky also played a tough team in Auburn, and yeah, I'm gonna go Ole Miss here.
I think this one is a pretty even matchup. I think it will be a good game, one of the better SEC games this week. I'm gonna go with Kentucky. I'm very reluctant. I think it's gonna be a really close game, but I'll lean Kentucky. I picked them to upset Auburn last week. It was wrong, but they stuck around till late in the third quarter. So I think this week they get it done. Ole Miss does have a pretty good offense. They're pretty explosive, but I think that Kentucky's defense will come to play, and I think that they'll win by a field goal.
38 seconds left of the game. Kentucky has the ball last. It'll be a game-winning touchdown. Case closed. Kentucky wins. And Dennis Carr says that if Ole Miss wins, that Dennis Carnes is going to self-waterboard. So,
I love it.
Yes.
Nice.
Thank you, Dennis, for volunteering. Thank you very much. Let's move on to the next game. Western Kentucky versus Middle Tennessee. Joe's looking very blank right now, so we may have to school him real quick.
I don't think much of football in Tennessee, generally speaking, so I'm going to go with Western Kentucky on the road.
Dude, this is I'm gonna go with Western Kentucky because I've seen Middle Tennessee State lose a couple pretty badly. I haven't seen Western Kentucky play, but I'll go with Western Kentucky to beat Middle Tennessee.
Yeah, I'm also going to go with the Hilltoppers from Western Kentucky. Middle Tennessee might actually be one of the worst teams in the nation right now.
Wow. I'm picking Middle Tennessee in this game. I think they showed improvement last week. They didn't have a good start, but they had a strong finish. Being that it's at Middle Tennessee, and both of these teams do have history with one another. Never a blowout when it comes to games like this. Regardless, it'll be a close game, but Middle Tennessee is going to take it. Auburn versus Georgia. Georgia favors 6.5. This is the game of the week at 7:30 Eastern Time, ESPN, ABC. Who you got, Joe?
I think Auburn is going to win the football game. I really do. So it's just something because I know you like Georgia. That's your team. You think Georgia's going to win this game?
You really going to ask me this question?
Yeah.
Of course they are. Come on.
So I'm definitely going to take Auburn then.
Fair enough.
I just needed you to say it first for the jinx to work.
Oh, yeah? Is that right?
Once you committed officially to Georgia, I knew Auburn was the choice to make. So I'm going to take Georgia.
Joe, whenever you ask me a question and I give you an answer, it's always that answer. I've never failed you.
Yeah.
You just
I just needed you to confirm it so I could take Auburn.
Fair enough.
I'm going to go. This one's so tough. I like Auburn a lot, but I don't know if I can trust them. They're like the Falcons in the NFL. Like, I don't know if I can trust them. So, and I really like JT Daniels. If he's getting a start, I'm going Georgia and the points. So let's go.
Yeah, this is tough, especially with not knowing the situation of if JT Daniels will start or not. Either way, I think I'm going to go with the Bulldogs. I don't think they'll cover by much. I think they'll probably win by a touchdown or maybe 10 points. I think it will be a really good game, but I just believe in Georgia's defense to shut down Bo Nix. Like Jace mentioned, he's very inconsistent at times. I'll go with the Bulldogs in this one.
That's so hard to pick, dude.
Well, Dennis Carter says, I will leave it up. I'll leave it all up to you. What I do if Auburn loses.
Oh, my God, Dennis, I've got so many ideas. I'd like to start flipping some of these out here. What should we do with Dennis?
Eat ghost pepper.
Oh, ghost pepper's good.
That's a good idea.
So you second it?
Let's go. Eat a ghost pepper.
Fair enough, Dennis. You're on the hot spot right now. All right. Hey, let's move on real quick. Texas A&M versus Alabama. Both teams 1-0.
Oh, God.
I'm going to take Bama here.
Bama favorite 17?
Yeah.
Oh, both teams did not look good week one. You know what? I'm gonna do it. I've been saying it. Texas A&M is the team to watch out for, and this is gonna be their first upset. I think not only will they cover, they might win outright. I'm going Texas A&M here.
Yeah, I don't think Texas A&M will win outright, but I will take them to cover the points here. I think it will probably be around a 2-touchdown game, maybe 10-point game. But I think Kellen Mond and the offense will get it going a little bit. I also think that Mac Jones will, have a better game. Najee Harris, I think, is going to have a good game running against the A&M defense. So I think it will be a closer game, but I'd take Texas A&M with the points. So
Bama's going to cover. They're only going to get better each week. Bama will, especially being at Alabama, they're going to roll tie that ass on the Aggies, and they're going to beat them more than 20 points. So Bama will get the victory here. North Carolina favored 14 points versus Boston College. Both teams undefeated. Boston College 2-0. North Carolina had a little bye week that was happening, and now they're going to be in Massachusetts.
I like this North Carolina team. I like them on the road at Boston College. Ooh. Yeah, they win this one handily.
Yes, sir. I agree with that. I like Sam Howell. I love Mac Brown ever since was at Texas. Boston, that's not really too big of a college football town. I think they'll go in there and win pretty handily, yeah. I like the points with North Carolina as well.
I think North Carolina will win this game, but I'm going to take the pick here. I'm going to take Boston College with the points. Their defense has looked really good. Shut down Duke. Obviously, they played Texas State last week, but still shut them down. You gotta beat who you play. So I think their defense is legit. I think that they'll hang in this game late. I think they'll probably lose by around 10 points, but I'm going to take them with the points. I think they'll hang around up until the end of the game, late in the fourth quarter.
You're muted, Ovi.
Muted.
There we go. Thank you very much. I agree with you. Fighting Eagles will make it a close one. But I'm actually taking them to upset North Carolina for the win in Massachusetts. Memphis at MSU. Memphis favorite by 3 points.
Yeah, I think Memphis. I think Memphis wins this game. I think they win it by at least a touchdown.
See, I was after week 1 or week 0, or I don't know. I've lost track now. After SMU's first game, I was not feeling them too good because it was a close one against Texas State. They were able to pull it out, but after they got that first game under their belt, they've started to look better. I like SMU. They were really good last year. I think they carry it over to this year. And I just like SMU to win outright.
I'd probably have to agree with Jace. I think SMU, they've gotten their offense rolling after a slow start. Been putting up a lot of points, not playing the greatest defenses, but still Shane Buechele has looked good after a rough start. So I think it will be a very good game, but I'd probably pick SMU as well to win outright, maybe by a field goal, but I think it will be a close game.
Well, I think this game is going to be a shootout, and I'm favoring Memphis to cover the spread. I think they got what it takes to defeat SMU. And moving on to Texas Tech versus Kansas State. Both teams are 1-1. They're trying to stay on top on the winning side of the house, with Kansas State coming off a big victory over Oklahoma. They're a favorite at -2.5. Joe, what you got?
Oh, I got to go with Kansas State in this one. Riding high right now. I mean, Texas Tech certainly put up some points, and I'm sure they'll do it again. But, yeah, I think Kansas State's feeling it.
This has letdown game written all over it. Kansas State is riding high after that big win against Oklahoma. Texas Tech, they were in it so close, but they're mad they did not win. Like I said earlier, I like Bowman. Bowman's a really good quarterback, and he will sling the football. Skylar Thompson's all right as well. More dual threat, gets more done with his legs. I like this game. I don't even think it will be close. I think this is a letdown spot for Kansas State. Texas Tech demolishes them.
Yeah, Jace pretty much said what I was going to say. I think Texas Tech, after having that Texas win in the grasp, they saw it in their hands last week and just let it get away. I think it will be a really high-scoring game. I think Skylar Thompson will get it going with his legs and the passing game. And Texas Tech, they're going to come up and score a lot of points. So I could see this game realistically being in the 40s or 50s. But I think that Texas Tech will win outright as well, probably by, I'd say, a touchdown.
Well, this is a Big 12 football game, and you're going to get a Big 12 football game with unexpected results, and that's why I picked Texas Tech to win. Kansas State, I think they are hungover with their victory over Oklahoma. I think they'll be over their heads, and Texas, the Red Raiders will come out victorious on this one. Virginia at Clemson. Virginia 1-0, Clemson 2-0. They did not play last week. They are favored 28 points. Could they cover, Joe?
35-0 Clemson.
Damn. When I was a little boy, I went to a football, not a little boy. When I was like in 6th grade, I went to a football camp at Brigham Young University, BYU. Coach there, Bronco Mendenhall, coach at Virginia. He came up to me, he's like, What the? Why are you here with the middle schoolers? You're so big. He's trying to recruit me then. Now, fast forward. I love Virginia. I love Bronco Mendenhall. I don't think they'll win this game, but I expect them to cover. Virginia will cover. Clemson wins.
I think Clemson's going to win big in this one. I'd probably be right around the same range as Joe. I think they'll probably win by 5, maybe 6 touchdowns. I think that's probably pushing it though. But Virginia lost a lot after a successful season last year. I just don't know if they have the firepower to keep up with Clemson. So I'll take Clemson with the points in this one.
Yeah, now Clemson. I think I agree with Joe. I think they'll shut them out. If anything, they'll probably allow Virginia to get a field goal. Who knows? But they'll definitely going to score. At the end of the game, it'll be greater than 28 points. Clemson is just looking forward to getting back to that championship game that we're all expected them to be. So there you go. There you have it. And that it wraps up the college pick'em games. Joe, what you got?
Well, earlier in the show, we were sort of celebrating the idea that Ohio State cornerback Sean Wade is opting back in. And even during that segment, I actually mentioned the news that Meshach Parsons, a linebacker from Penn State, the consensus All-American linebacker from Penn State, the Big Ten linebacker of the year, Buckus Award finalist, is not going to be coming back. And we don't celebrate that guy. We're not excited that he's not coming back because we feel like he's doing it for selfish reasons. And here's the thing, Meshach Parsons, from everybody who knows this situation, knows that this young man was really fighting with himself over this really tough situation. Do you go out there and risk it? Mel Kiper's got a number 5 on the big board. What are you going to do? There's millions of dollars to be had, or you go out and, again, as much as this guy wanted to go out there with his brothers and get one more season, and he's doing this sensible thing. And again, in this very selfish era that we live in, it's easy to just dismiss people like Meshach Parsons and say, oh, he's just looking out for himself. Well, who are you looking out for? You're not the one out there risking your life. You're not the one that's out there risking the possibility of making of millions of dollars in the NFL. Don't judge. Everyone's doing the best they can in 2020 during this pandemic. And kudos to guys who are opting back in, and also kudos to guys who are making the tough decision to opt out. I just think it's fair to sort of lay that out there this week. We've seen some really great college football, and it's been wild because of all the uncertainty, and I think it's going to continue to be that way. And I don't want anyone to get left behind because I don't think that's fair. It's a crazy year. People have to decide what they want to do, and you got to love and support people. So best of luck to Meshach Parsons, to Penn State. They're going to need it. And, of course, to Ohio State. Some good news there. But all in all, a great week. And we really appreciate you watching All 4 Downs, a presentation to Clovercrest Media. Make sure you visit us at clovercrestmedia.com/all4downs. Also visit hhwshow.com. There you can find the link for All 4 Downs and some of the other really cool CMG podcasts. Every Wednesday night, 8 o'clock, make sure you tune in Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. We do it live. hhwshow.com. That is the website for Obi Munez, for Sean Scanlon, Jace Garcia, and me, Joe Aguirre. We'll catch you next week on All 4 Downs.